Hi everyone, welcome back to Total War Therapy, and today we're gonna talk about the 8 different categories of Missile Infantry. So don't forget to subscribe, to share your opinions in the comments, and let's go! The first category we're gonna talk about is the Missile Infantry with bow. Now, the key feature of this weapon is the possibility of shooting at the enemy with the arch line. I say possibility because you can actually deploy them even in your front line. They will have a clearer sight and they will gain accuracy and damage. But in this way you will waste their main ability, that is the chance to deploy them at the back of your front line. In this way they will be well defended and well protected, while they will keep shooting their arrows. This is a very important factor because the battle can be long, and when the melee units will be engaged, the missile infantry that require a straight sight will be useless, while them that they need only the arch line, they will keep shooting their arrows and they will keep dealing damage. They are the most common category of missile infantry in the game, and almost every faction has at least one. Now, compared to the other categories, they have a medium-long range, but they have poor accuracy given the arch line and weak damage. Definitely not ammo piercing. Not ammo piercing at all, so they will be more useful in the early campaign and less useful in the late campaign when the enemy will start to be tougher, and with this increased armor they will block most of the arrows. Now, their main target is supposed to be weak infantry or weak cavalry. With weak I mean with the low armor, with no shield, because the shields will block most of the arrows that will come, so you have to prioritize infantry and cavalry with the low armor and with the no shield. In this way you can use them with the strategy that I told you before, and they require a very little management, and this is another key factor. You don't need, like for other categories of missile infantry, to take care of them every minute. You can just deploy them and wait for them to deal their damage over all the battle. The second category we're gonna talk about is the missile infantry with crossbows. Now, this weapon is quite similar to the bow, with two main differences. First, they have a lower arch line. That means that you can still use them with the same strategy, but you have to keep a distance between this unit and the front line, or whatever unit is behind. This because otherwise they will not be able to shoot properly. The second difference is that they have more armor piercing damage. It can be the case of the Dark Elves, that they are definitely armor piercing, and the case of Cathay, Dwarves and so on, that they have double of the armor piercing point compared to the normal bows. Now, they sacrifice a little of range, so they will have a shorter range than archers, but their accuracy and their damage will be increased. The target in this case is still has not to be like shielded cavalry and infantry, but they can be more armor, because they will deal with the armor better. The strategy, as I said, is the same, and the management is the same, so you don't require to give a look at them very often. You can just deploy them at the front line, at the back of your front line, and let them do their job. The third category we're gonna talk about is the missile infantry with handguns. Now, this is probably the favorite weapon of the community, and the key factor is that they have a good range with accuracy and ammo piercing damage. But their weakness is that compared to the units we talked about previously, they need a clear sight of the enemy to shoot. And this can be a problem, both because you need to put them in your front line and they will be more vulnerable, they will be easy to charge by the enemy, and because the game it's a little broken sometimes, and if the soul is not that plain, they will get some troubles to shoot at the enemy. Now, the range is quite similar to the Bowmen, so medium long. Their accuracy is very good, and the damage is impressive. The target is normally characters or tough infantry, tough cavalry, but yeah, you need to protect them very well. There are some strategies like putting a lord in front of them defend them in case of charging and so on. And in this case they require a lot of management. You have to probably move them in multiple locations during the battle, because yeah, at some point they will shoot at the front, then they need to target at the side, at the flank. So yeah, they're required to give a look from time to time, and that's why it's better if you recruit just one or two of them per army. The fourth category we're gonna talk about is the Missile Infantry with pistols. Now, they are generally hybrid units. That means that they are not excellent at melee and they are not excellent at shooting neither. But if you use both attacks, they will do a good job. They have a short range, poor damage, poor accuracy, but they have some secondary abilities that can be very useful, like the Vanguard deployment and the stalks, so you can sneak around the enemy and shoot at their back, or the fire while moving, that gives you access to the skirmish mode, so they will automatically shooting at the enemy while keeping a distance from them. But in this case you have to be careful, because if the enemy is faster than you, they can reach you and take you down. Now, as I said, there are many strategies and they require, all of these strategies, a lot of them of management. So be very careful. They are very weak, even if they are faster than generic infantry, that can be in danger very often. Normally the pistol is even just an accessory attack, for example for Kislev, so it's just a way to deal some little more damage to the enemy before engaging in melee. The fifth category we're gonna talk about is the Missile Infantry with Flamethrowers. Now, there are probably just 2 units of this category in the game, but they're still worth to mention because they're very funny and very peculiar. They have a short range and they require the straight side of the enemy, so you have to deploy them in your front line well protected, since the short range. There is this famous strategy all over the community where you put a lord or a hero in front of them to absorb the charge of the enemies while they are shooting at them. You have to be very careful of friendly fire, because they can deal in many occasions a lot of damage to your units too. Their main target is weak infantry. Because I say weak because they don't have a lot of armor piercing damage, but they have fire effect and magical effect, so they will be even more powerful against demons and undead. But yeah, not against very armored units, because they will not deal that much damage. Now, they can really destroy one unit with one or a couple of shots, so you have to use them wisely, because your enemy will prioritize them. They require a high management, because their arch of usefulness is very short, and at some point you need to, to make them escape, to make them away, to keep them protected. So you have to be very careful about them. But if you do everything correctly, they will destroy, annihilate units like nothing in just seconds. The sixth category we're gonna talk about is the Missile Infantry with shotguns. Now, this weapon is quite similar to the Flamethrowers. You need to use them with the same strategy, with the same level of management, but there are some important differences. They have, as I say, the same range, but they have better accuracy and better ammo piercing damage. In this case, you can actually target mostly very tough and very armored infantry, even monsters, cavalry. You have to still be very careful, because the enemy will prioritize them, will try to charge. You can still use the strategy of putting the lord in front of them and so on. But yeah, against tough units they are the best, they are more effective. And as I say, the Flamethrowers instead, they are more effective against poor armor, low leadership, very weak infantry. So they are probably one of the most favorite category of all the community. That's why we love them so much. The seventh category we're gonna talk about is the Missile Infantry with grenades. Now, actually I was already making the video, but at the last moment I decided to add this category, because as you know, Creative Assembly is adding a new unit like that for Cathay in the next month. So I decided, and I thought that actually they are worth to mention, because there are some units that has them, and there are the dwarves too, that they have them as a secondary attack. So it's, I mean, they are good. They have a short range, but they do not need a straight line. So they do the same damage of the flamethrower basically, but they can do it from the back of your front line, so they will be protected. Their problem is that they have a very low ammunition, and this is the only time I will mention this in the game, because all the other missile category have just a normal amount of ammunition, but in their case it's just 5. For the dwarves or the miners they have just 1 or 2, but the damage is insane. They can really destroy a unit just with one shot, so if you use careful this 5 ammunition, you can really, I mean, they will multiply their value for many times. Anyway, given the few ammunition and the short range, you will have a very short arch of time to extract value from them. So be very careful, and I would suggest you to take off the auto fire mode, so you can decide every time to which enemy to shoot. And this is very important, so every grenade can be used at the most of its ability. The 8th and last category we're gonna talk about is the Snipers Missile Infantry. Now, in this case there are few options all over the game. Their key factor is that they have a very long range with a very good accuracy and a lot of armor piercing damage. Normally they require a straight line, so you need to put them at your front line or even at the side, but of course well protected by some other units, even cavalry or characters at this point. If you put them at the side, in some cases they are shielded, so they will be well protected even from missiles, and they are amazing against characters, against single entities, against monsters and cavalry and so on. Their damage is very strong, they are very accurate, and with this long range that is probably the most superior amongst all these categories, they can reach very far target before any other things, so you will have an advantage during the battle. Their weakness is that they will need a little of time to deal damage, so you have to deploy them in a very strategic position. You have to defend them very well, because they are slow, they are low in number, so if engaged by a charging unit, for example, they will go down very soon. Thank you for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and let's see very soon.